seen as shift, and it's a serious paradigm shift from a centralized system of government to a decentralized system of government. And we've been able to do it in just 6 years. And we've been able in these 6 years to create 47 county governments. There are full governments that are up and running as we speak, with the executive, with the governor, with his ministers, with his chief officers, with an assembly that has members of the county assembly, speakers, and everything. Very many countries today, and these I'm quoting President Uhuru Kenyatta himself, very many countries today are looking at Kenya as a success story in decentralization. Many students of political science, not just in Africa, even in advanced democracies, those that have had decentralization for many years, those that have had federal governments for many years, are coming to Kenya to take Kenya as a case study. They are asking, how did you do this? How could you achieve this? Create 2 levels of government under Article 6 of our Constitution and allow them to work together as interdependent institutions and be able to share functions and be able to deliver services to Kenyans. So if we have people traveling as far away as Europe, America, Asia, I'm very happy because I kept asking myself, Ken, how come the whole of Africa is coming to find out about it? How come our own Kenyan people haven't shown that interest? So this is the first team of Kenyan students that has shown interest in devolution and that has actually invited the Minister of Devolution to speak to them. And I'm so happy in doing that, and to also tell you that I was very, very privileged to have been in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs just after the late Mutula Kilonzo promulgated the Constitution. He handed it over to me for implementation. And I can tell you that that Constitution of 2010 has fundamentally changed our governance, including returning power to the people. Under Article 1 of that Constitution, we say all sovereign power belongs to the people. And the leaders and the institutions created under that Constitution enjoy delegated power from the people who are CO190 wenye because of that Constitution. So we would like you, as opinion leaders, wherever you come from, to enlighten that citizen. Very few realize their power within the new constitutional dispensation. But we would like to see how to enlighten that citizen. Because an informed citizen is an empowered citizen. It's through you that we can be able to hold our leaders accountable. Because devolution was meant to devolve power, to give power back to the people, to give them a say in what goes on in their counties, to also ensure that they participate in the decision-making processes in their respective localities. Yet, you might find that you might be at this university and there are decisions that are being made in your counties that you are not aware of, that you are never consulted, or that you didn't even have a say to know what has been budgeted, what are the priority projects. So these are some of the areas I would like us to partner with to make devolution work. That Constitution also has given us a new national value system. And this is where we also want you to work with us. Because it is possible to change the forest, but if the monkeys are still the same, will anything change in that forest? So this is where we want to work together so that we see, because devolution is succeeding. Why is the whole world coming to Kenya to celebrate devolution? Because it is working. And their success stories, I can tell you today, there are people in Turkana County who used to travel for over 300 kilometers all the way to Eldoret, to the Moi Referral Hospital, just for a CT scan. Because at the district hospital in Lodwar, there was no such facility. This was also happening in Mandera, in Wajir, and they all had to come all the way to Kenyatta National Hospital. But today, because of devolution, we have our hospitals equipped, we have equipment that has saved many lives because they have been saved distances and costs to travel to Kenya just for dialysis, just for a CT scan. Now these equipments have come closer to them and health has improved. A county like Samburu that has the highest maternal deaths at childbirth, because of the equipment, that has come down considerably. We have areas like Mandera that had never seen a tarmac road since independence for over 50 years. For the first time, because of devolution, when you go to Mandera, when you go to Wajir, for the first time they have seen a tarmac road because of devolution. They are getting clean water. They are getting projects that were never there before. Because of policies in the past, and the good professors who are here, who are older than most of us, who are there in the 1960s, we remember session paper number 10 of 1965 that created two Kenyas, the high potential Kenya and the low potential Kenya. Charles Dickens once wrote a book about A Tale of Two Cities. But the constitution I'm telling you about that we passed in 2010 changed a tale that lasted 50 years, a tale of two Kenyas, where we had high potential Kenya and a low potential Kenya. And because of devolution today, we have equitable sharing of revenue and resources to the counties. And this is a game changer, and we must see how we can be able to address the weaknesses that are facing these counties. Because it's not all rosy, and I don't want to lie to you that devolution is without challenges. There are many challenges facing devolution today. One of those challenges is corruption. This is something I've said time and again, and sometimes I'm not very popular about this, but the scriptures say, "For the truth shall set us free." The truth of the matter is that when you passed that constitution in 2010, you intended to devolve resources. But the reality is, in the process, we have also devolved corruption. And this is something I want to tell you is not just unique to Kenya. At this university, good professors who are here, remember, Barack Obama came and addressed us here. And Obama said, and you will allow me to quote, "Corruption is not solely a Kenyan problem, or even an African problem, or even a local problem. It's a global problem. It's a human problem of greed and selfishness, and it knows no borders." And he's saying in the United States, his own home county, 4 governors had been sent to jail because of corruption. The governor who was then the governor of Illinois at the time Obama was elected president, Rod Blagojevich, actually was convicted of corruption for trying to sell Barack Obama's seat. Can you imagine? Your senator is elected president. Then as governor, because you had a say as to who to nominate to complete the term of your senator. And this guy entered into a deal to sell that seat. And he was convicted. Of course, he had been paid handsomely. And sentenced to 14 years in jail as we speak. Obama's own governor is still in jail. And not just Rod, we had another governor in his same hometown, George Ryan, who was also sentenced for corruption and fraud. We had Governor Dan Walker, who was also sentenced, and he was governor from 1973 to 77. And Mr. Walker pleaded guilty to bank fraud, to defraud the state and to do business after he left office. And we're not just talking about the US. In Nigeria, we have had over 6 governors who are actually jailed. One of them was Jolly Nyama of Taraba, and he was convicted by the High Court in Abuja, and he's serving 14 years for diverting 1.6 billion naira. That's a lot of money. We had Joshua Darie of Plateau, who was also convicted to 14 years for misappropriating again over 1 billion naira after diverting the funds from the state that he governed between 1999 and 2007. We also had the former governor Adamawa, state governor James Barnum Gilari, who was also sentenced. And we also had George Ibori of Delta State. These are governors who are leading states, who had a lot of resources at their disposal, and who took advantage of being in office to enrich themselves at the expense of the people they were governing. And it's not just Nigeria, it's not just the US, Europe, everywhere. And even in Kenya today, you would hear of governors who are facing charges. So I don't want to bore you with a lot of detail. All I'm saying is that President Kibaki, when he was president, said one thing that I remember. He said leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. But leadership is not an opportunity to satisfy your personal greed. The truth of the matter is that we might not be short of resources, but we might be short of integrity. And these are issues that you as opinion leaders can hold your leaders to account in your counties. Because the resources are there, but if they're not deployed to the intended purposes, they will fail to meet the objects of devolution under Article 174 and 175. And we're asking you to help us in this, because there are those who have used their offices to satisfy their personal greed. And unless we have an informed citizen, unless we have vigilant, informed people like yourselves, we will continue to lose this money that is intended to transform your counties and our country. This, I want to assure you, we are looking forward to working with you. And may I say that through this civic education program, we can be able to partner together to be able to achieve these intended purposes. Apart from corruption, we have issues of misapplication of funds in terms of what is not priority. So when you are vigilant as a citizen, you can have a say, instead of 150 million shillings, going to build a governor's mansion for 1 man, 1 woman, and 3 children. You can demand that the 150 million, as it happened in Makueni County, can go towards construction of a hospital that can serve 5,000 people instead of 5 people. So you come up now, are there any people from Makueni here? Please, when you go, congratulate my teacher, Professor Kibunda Kibwana. Tell him he's doing a good job. We were in Makueni, we were able to see, I don't know if you've seen that hospital. The good professor used less than 150 million. He completed the hospital. He equipped it. But another county, and I'm not going to say which county, another governor took the same 150 million and put up a palatial home for himself. So we started a peer review mechanism where we are telling our county leadership, instead of you going to Europe to benchmark or going to America, We want you to start benchmarking locally. If you want to know what 150 million can do, please go to Makueni, don't go to London. They were shocked when they went to Makueni, and I was there with them. And of course, with this benchmarking, we know that if we have some of you from Makueni sharing with others from the coast, or maybe from Western or from Nyanza, you experience it. You can be able to enlighten them to go back to their counties and actually be able to demand more from their governors in terms of optimal utilization of the limited resources to transform their counties. The other issue is the issue of the ballooning wage bill. It's a big challenge, and this is one area that we want to see what can be done to control it, so that we have more funds going towards paying salaries instead of these funds going towards development. So we have less going to development and almost everything going towards expenditure and recurrent expenses. When you are home, please take your time. Go to your MCA's office or go to a ward representative's office. And I was very impressed when I was in Kwale. Governor of Buria had put up an office where he had his ward representative, he had all the leaders in the ward, and he had even provided for an MCA's office. But of course, the MCA didn't want to be part of the office because he wanted to create his own office. But if all governors did that, and we have a one-stop shop where you as a citizen, when you're on your holidays, you can go to that office and ask, give me the CIDP, the plans for my county. What have you, how much money did you receive? How are you utilizing our money in this county? I don't know if you've ever had time to even inquire about this. How many of you have actually been to your governor's offices to even ask about the budget or your MCA?
You can't access.
I think we have very few. I want to challenge you today, and Ken, I think this is part of the partnership we want to build. When you go back to Kilifi, when you go back to Tana River or Garissa or Turkana or Kisumu or Bungoma, please take some time. Armed with that book, look at what your role is, enlighten your colleagues, go to the county offices, go to your ward reps offices, go to MCA's office, just find, this is your money, it's not their money. And if you're not going to play this role, most of this money will continue being misapplied, and it will not achieve the purposes intended. So let me not go you much. We have issues that touch on you, and these are issues that create business opportunities for you. But some of you have ventured. I remember when I last addressed you, I was here during the Nation TV function. You said some of you had attempted but had not been paid. So there was the issue of paying bills. I don't know if there are any of you who have done some business who are old. Or none of you have done business with government. Let me tell you one story. One day, I was minister, before I became minister, I was MP for Saboti. And I brought a bill for preferential treatment for our young people, persons with disabilities, our women. And at that time, President Uhuru Kenyatta was MP for Gatundu South, and he was also Minister for Finance and Deputy Prime Minister. And I told him, just the way South Africa is doing, our young people have given up on doing business with government because they cannot compete. You cannot compete with those rich business people in your towns, those who own big supermarkets, those who own factories. Can you really compete against them? So we say we must do something about this so that we create entrepreneurs, so that we don't wait all these hundreds of thousands of graduates who are getting out and are jobless cannot all be employed by government. But if we create business opportunities for them and allow them to access finance, they can actually turn from job seekers to job creators. At that time, I brought a bill and proposed that we set aside 25% of all public procurement for the